It's time for the third in this series of videos of me asking questions that people ask me and answering them about my book. First I did questions about the tour, second I did questions about the book, now I'm doing questions about me as a person who wrote a book. So, let's hit those. How many times did you think I quit? That's it! While writing. I didn't ever have like those moments of frustration where I was like, I hate this and it's never gonna work. I had moments of despair, like where it was like the sad version of that, where I wasn't, where like the quitting was not about like me being frustrated. It was about just feeling like I couldn't, or why was I even, or how did I, and how does anybody do this? And feeling like I couldn't solve plot problems, or looking back and being like, I haven't done anything this month. So I had those moments, but it was never like an I quit kind of feeling. It was more of a I'm not good enough kind of feeling. Do you listen to music while you write? No. I can't imagine listening to music while writing. Any distraction is too much distraction for me. Sometimes while I'm emailing, I will listen to house music or something that doesn't have lyrics and is energetic, but never will I listen to music while writing. I don't know. That's just not how my brain works. How did you know you had finished writing your book? There's two things you might be asking. When I first sent the book to the person who I hoped would be my agent, she read it and she replied to me and said, this ends very abruptly, but otherwise I like it very much. And I was like, oh yeah, it's only 75% done, I think. The idea that she had even thought that maybe that was the end of the book was kind of liberating to me, to think, oh, you can just end it. And people will be like, yeah, that's the end of the book. I can tell because of how it ran out of pages. And so there is an element of that you are ultimately in charge of when the end comes. And that was a feeling, an empowering feeling. But then really, and this is interesting because I didn't intend for the book to end when it ended. I just realized that I was beginning, it was in the process. I was like, oh, I am writing the climax now. It's happening. This is the climax of the novel, and after this chapter, we will be at the end of the 3-act structure. And there was other stuff that I hadn't written yet, and that I intend for the story to be longer and to go on beyond this thing that happens. That is very much obviously a climax. That's sort of when I realized that this was not just one book. Then there's the other question that you might be asking, which was, when did you know you had finished revising and all of the words in the book were the ones that you wanted in the book, and there were no extra ones that would make it better, and none that you wanted to take out to make it better, and literally when they told me I couldn't change anything else. And that day I was like, I need to change something, and they were like, no. And so I didn't. And that's how I knew, because they wouldn't let me change it. It was frustrating. And it was a dumb little thing. It wasn't a big functional change to the book, but several dumb little things that have occurred to me, this would be good, are not in the book. Do you have any advice for someone thinking of writing a book? What's something you wish you had known before starting? The thing that I keep saying that is so duh, that to me is the most helpful thing, is to just keep saying nothing but time writes a book, which is true of everything. Nothing but time gets you good at playing an instrument or learning a language, and nothing but time writes a book. It just takes time. There's this fiction that I would tell myself sometimes that if I just sit down, I'll write 5,000 words, and it's just not true. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write 1,000 words, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm just not gonna write more than 1,000 words at a time. And so I might do better than that, but I cannot rely on it. And so if you're gonna write a 100,000 page book, or 100,000 word book, you have to do that 100 times. More than, because you're gonna trash some of it. So it's just time. It's very helpful for me to say that to myself even now, when I'm like, oh no, it'll take care of itself. I'll think of good plot points in the shower, and then I'll write them down. And you want to grant that time in the shower some magical majesty of that's the really valuable time, but no, the sitting down and writing is the valuable time. The time in the shower where you come up with a fix, or you think of a cool scene. that is bound to happen some, and it happens way more if you're in the process of writing. So if you're in the headspace of the book. Did you learn anything about yourself while writing? Oh yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff. I think I became a little bit more forgiving of people who do my job and who do who do the thing that I do for a living and do it differently from me. I think I became a little more forgiving of some of those people in this process. I think that I also became, a lot more aware of some of the things, some of the more self-destructive habits that I had, and I became more, much more skeptical of, and much less interested in fame, honestly. Like, I realized, that the thing that I was chasing was actually a destructive thing. Not that I chased fame, but in my own way, a little bit, yeah. And have realized that that's not good for me, and I think maybe not good for anybody. But I'm different, and different people are different. I came out of it with a much more negative view of fame. Yeah. Why didn't you self-publish your book? I could have, and I would have made way more money per copy sold, but I believe in delegating to experts, and the publishing industry is there for that. They know how to make a beautiful book, how to manufacture a beautiful book, and I don't know how to do that. And I could probably find somebody to help me do it, but I probably would be bad at it. They know how to distribute a book, they know how to get it absolutely everywhere, though apparently they don't know how to not get it pre-released by a Canadian bookseller. I'm not salty, I'm fine. I absolutely needed to work with an editor, I needed help from copywriters, and I needed all the infrastructure. I wanted all the infrastructure, and if you're in this world, you would say you paid for that. Hank, you paid for that with the amount of money that goes to the publisher from each sale. You don't make as much money from each sale. But I think the publisher more than earns their money, because I don't know, I would never know how to gather that amount of expertise. And even if I did, it would be a tremendous amount of work. I know how to hire, I know how to do a jobs candidate search, but I don't have time for that because I need to write a book. I need to work on the book, not manage a team of people to be my publicist and my copy editor and my editor and my manufacturing specialist or whatever, and do quality assurance and all that jazz. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to. So that's why. But self-publishing is so wonderful that path exists now, because there's stuff being made that I don't think would ever have gotten made, reaching audiences that are big. That's wonderful. So I'm very glad self-publishing exists. I don't think that it was the right way to go for me. What we are seeing now, and what we all should have expected, is that there will be some of that and some of this, and every person will have to make their own choice. And I've watched people go from being self-published to having a deal with a major publisher, and I think that that's wonderful, and I think it makes a ton of sense. I did it. I answered a bunch of questions in 3 different videos. I'm tired.